right, I would like to call to order City of Lawrence Redevelopment Commission meeting for Thursday, June 9th, 2022. And first, determine that we have quorum, and we do have quorum today. And then, has everyone had a chance to review the minutes from last meeting?
Yes. Yeah.
And are there any questions or concerns or comments about the meetings?
There's a comment.
Okay.
Joe did an excellent job preparing these minutes. He really did. There's enough detail. He included enough detail in the minutes that you could really tell what was going on in the meeting. He did a great job.
I'll be interested in seeing if Cheryl seconds that, because she usually finds the issues.
Cheryl is Cheryl's level of detail and mine are two different things. Anyway, what do you think, Cheryl?
I move approval of the minutes.
Oh, I would second.
All right, Mary Jo, now you do your roll call vote.
Oh, are we gonna, we are? Is she making a motion?
Yeah, she made a motion.
Oh, okay.
Jerry second.
And Jerry seconded. Thank you.
Did.
Thank you. So a roll call vote. All those in favor say aye. Cheryl?
Aye.
Jerry Clifford?
Yes.
Ray Rohana?
Yes.
David Blunt?
Yes.
By unanimous vote.
Okay, and I'm assuming everyone's had a chance to review the purchase orders and claims. Do we have any questions, concerns, comments on those?
I do not.
Looks like we only had one. And if we do not, may I have a motion to approve?
Mr. President, I motion that we approve the allowance for vouchers and claims.
I'll second the motion.
And we'll do a roll call vote. Cheryl?
Yes.
Jerry Clifford?
Yes?
Ray Rohana?
Yes.
David Blunt?
Yes. All right. And now this is the portion of the meeting where I turn it over to Dan. And Dan's going to go through old business, new business, and if we have anything else to come before the commission today.
Thank you very much, Commissioners. Those in attendance, first of all, thank you for taking the time to attend the Freegee experience. Mr. Freegee, your ears should have been burning because you were brought up as being connected to the original Freegees in some way or fashion.
Yes, my father, I hope, will be attending the open house later today. And all, he and his brother and my grandfather founded the company.
Oh, that's what they said, and I hope that they'll be pleased because it certainly is a beautiful, beautiful outcome. But he gave your family all the credit for where it all started, so I just thought you might like to know that.
Very good.
Well, and then if I could just add on to that, he credited your family for the business having such a great reputation.
Yes.
And he emphasized that twice. So that was really a nice compliment.
That's nice to hear.
Today's meeting is going to be very straightforward, more of a recital than an advisory, which sometimes is not all bad. I take a little breath. I think you've all been working really hard. A lot of good things. I would like to prepare you that I have already informed Joe that we'll probably need an executive session next month for next month's meeting. So you can kind of expect that at around 3:30 next month. Bruce Donaldson had a seminar and our council missed his exit and is somewhere north and I told him he might as well just go home because the time he gets here we'll probably be done. So I didn't really have any action for Adam today. So just so you understand why that chair is empty. So as we move through the agenda, kind of bring you up to date, I think I shared with you that we're fortunate in that Tim Oakes earned his money and figured out a way that we don't have to go through survey and parcel separation and all sorts of deed maneuvers to straighten out this final obligation to Mills. That the parcel separation of Plummer Street, the DMD is allowing that to stand and that survey work to stand, and so it's just mainly a little legal maneuvering we got to do to get that in final form and transfer it. I'm expecting that to occur probably by the time we meet in July. Pendleton Pike separation, that is virtually ready to record. They asked me for my opinion yesterday as if this commission wanted to apply any restrictive covenants to that parcel, and I told them no, we wanted to keep it as flexible as possible. So I would expect that by July we'll have that parcel probably transferred to us and be ready to go through the advertising stage. Most of you know, I think all of you are aware that the tax increment revenue bond issue you worked on so hard did close. Again, I want to particularly compliment Commissioner Sullivan. We've had nothing but praise for the remarks and the way you handled that and helping us get that started. And you and Jerry and the whole team showing up, David, everybody orchestrating that support, I think made all the difference in the world. And so that did get closed, and we're moving forward. Meyer Plastics, as recently as this morning, there was another communication with IDEM where we believe that the trigger for the trace testing that's causing IDEM's concern doesn't have anything to do with the site. It has to do with...
Would you say that again, please, Dan?
So there's a chemical trace showing up that's triggering tests that IDEM's been concerned about. We believe that that's coming from the raw materials vaping off inside the plant, not from the site. And the test today kind of showed that, and that's been communicated with IDEM, so I keep hoping we're closer to getting that finally resolved, but I don't think there's anything else this commission can do in the form of testing or remediation or anything to resolve that matter, so it's kind of maneuvering through getting everybody to buy off on that right now, so you know. Best equipment. I can bring you up to date partially in that there will be no huge major expansion of Best Equipment. They were not able to secure the necessary real estate to expand further. I do believe that there will be some by time upgrade of that facility, but it'll be instead of, and I don't know what the numbers are, but so I know this is a public meeting, but instead of what was originally probably a scope of $6 to $10 million, is probably going to be $500,000 to $1.5 million now. And I do believe at some time in the future, Best will be looking to locate to a bigger site. So just so you know, that's where we are with that. But I am working with them daily. Franklin Road properties that we sold that's still in the extended investigative period that we approved. If you drive by right now, the weeds are about 3 foot high and the trash is accumulating. If you recall, they gave us extra money to clean that up that we took and we'll pay the bills for. I authorized Penny to get a contractor in there today and clean that up every 3 weeks. So if you drive by, just know I'm on top of that one. Then we go to new business. We were getting several complaints, and rightly so, that Racetrack site was filthy and dirty and weeds were growing up and they hadn't done anything. So I reached out to Racetrack with one of my famous letters, and within 24 hours we had a really positive response. They hired a contractor. They hauled out, I think, 4 to 5 dumpsters last week of stuff that wasn't theirs. It was stuff that people around the neighborhood were bringing in and dumping on the property because there wasn't anybody around. They've got the weeds cleaned up, everything's cleaned up, and they've also, at my request, filed for demo permits, and I've asked that they go ahead and demo the site completely and get everything off to a flat surface, and then a lot of that problem will disappear until they're ready to construct. And they've filed for their demo permits and have told me they'll be starting demolition pretty quick, with the idea that probably by the last quarter of this year or the first quarter of next year, the new development will actually begin to occur.
So Dan, is Racetrack on schedule for their construction?
That's a great question. We never did really have a schedule commitment. They have 40 of those that they're building in Indiana, one in Indianapolis and one here, and we're getting the first one. And they told me, I talked to the senior vice president, commissioner, as recently as yesterday morning. Days are kind of confused, or Tuesday morning. And he told me they were on schedule to at least start construction before the end of this year. That's the only thing I can share with you at this point in time.
And do they have signage up or anything that I haven't driven down there?
No, they don't, and
recently.
that's one of the things I did ask them. I said it would sure make everybody feel better, and the community and the commission for the work we've done if there would be at least a coming soon sign for racetrack with a rendering of what it's going to be, and they seemed receptive to that. So.
Okay. And then from the city perspective, do we issue a press release or anything announcing that I'm just trying to think of how to make sure that the neighbors around there are assured that something in fact is moving positively in the right direction.
We did issue that to some degree with the trades district release in the report, but they have not been willing yet to issue a formal press release. They want to wait till they're closer to construction. So that's why I thought if we could get a coming soon sign on the property, at least they would know where we are.
I agree. Thanks for doing that.
No, not for that particular type of sign. It's just a freestanding on the parking lot type.
Okay, thank you.
Yes.
Thank you.
I'm going to interject a few things under new business, just so you know. We've got some great businesses in Lawrence that have been loyal to Lawrence and super employers of Lawrence, one of which is Mission Mechanical, located in the Trades District. The other is Midwest Remediation. It's kind of interesting. If you recall, we had public meetings and we invited all these people to attend the meetings. Well, Mission Mechanical never attended. Well, this week, as Banning Engineering is bumping up against their front door doing survey, they decide they better call me and figure out what's going on. So I met with Midwest Remediation's two senior executives this week. We went over what the impact is likely to be to them. Additionally, I didn't tell you that correctly. That was Mission Mechanical. I'm sorry. And then this morning I had a meeting with Midwest Remediation's David Sweet, pointing out that we'll probably be taking about 15 feet off of his building with the Record Street expansion, letting him know the timeline as I'm seeing it right now for when these things are likely going to occur, and just pledging that we're going to keep him in the loop as we go through our study and give him as much information in advance as we possibly can so they know how to react. That's taken a little bit of my time.
How was that received?
Very well.
Good.
I forwarded to all of you a complete progress report. I relieved Mr. Polar of having traveled from Lafayette. I didn't see any reason to pay for that this month, but I do plan on having him next month here to present his report personally because I think there'll be enough extra activity. I sent to all of you the progress report through today, last evening, and I want to know if anybody has any questions relative to that matter or whether I need to go over it in any way.
I have one question.
Yes, sir.
Are you satisfied with this?
Very much so.
Excellent.
As a kickoff, I think it's all you could expect in the first month. It's going to be, there's a lot of survey and technical work to get to where they can really even start to do anything, and that's what we're in the middle of. Any other questions relative to the report or comments?
Dan, how often should we expect to see an update from them?
Every month.
Okay.
Yeah.
And it's my goal that in the months where there's really a lot to talk about, I'll have them here personally. But I don't think the commission needs to pay that cost and pull it out of our engineering fee to have them here when we don't see more than what you see here. There's a lot here, but I think it's pretty self-explanatory. Yes, sir.
This has nothing to do with the report. Back a ways, we talked about how we were going to communicate what they're doing to the council as it's going along.
I think when we get to the point we have enough to communicate, I'll take that responsibility on.
Excellent, thank you.
That may be an every other month thing. We'll see. I'll just show up to council meeting and I'll ask the council if they want a report, first of all. And if they do, I'll provide it.
Thank you.
I want to ask, because I just always so pleased he takes the time to attend, I want to ask our Chief of Staff, David Hoffman, if you have anything you'd like to update the commission on or relative to your work or comment on. I will advise the commission that I've asked of Mr. Hoffman this morning. We're scheduling a 4 to 5 hour portion of our day, and in an upcoming week, we're going to drive the entire city. I think between his perspective as having been police chief, my perspective of what we see in economic development, it's like today, I just happened to drive by a little strip mall over in Franklin that looks like it's really tired. what are the things that we need to make a list of that the city in some department or some area needs to pay attention to that maybe we haven't paid attention to. I have not been by the Penn development at 46th and Post in the last 3 or 4 weeks. So Mr. Hoffman and I are going to, in the next 2 weeks, we've scheduled a date, we're going to take a half a day or a little bit more, and we're literally going to drive the entire city and make a list of things that may or may not be of concern. So you know.
It's a great.
With that, I have nothing else for this commission. I'd be glad to take any questions or concerns or ideas. I appreciate everybody's engagement.
Dan, along that same line as you driving around, so close to the racetrack property, you know that old car wash that we talked about? Mm-hmm. Is there any updates on that?
There is the only update I have for you is that I did have a meeting last month with a young man that was brought in by Marco Dominguez. Thank you. Alberto, did you sit in on that meeting? Dave and I sat in on that meeting. I think Joe Murphy might have been in that meeting. Alberto is a young, aggressive investor that has interest in that particular site. So I did take the liberty of sharing with him the environmental reports that we'd paid for, the appraisals we'd paid for, trying to promote something along that lines. And he was investigating the possible acquisition of that site. But that's the only thing I really have to report.
Do you know what he was going to do with it, Dan?
Commercial space, just build it on speculation.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. But just to get it down and cleaned up to me would
be great.
Yeah, I guess I drove by the other day and it looks tired.
I will tell you that we have confirmed, officially confirmed that Reyes is leaving. They're building a new building in Indianapolis, further in the county. Their timeline, I imagine, is I think they have a year and a half left on their lease. I think it's the end of 23. That doesn't really concern me. I believe that building's extremely marketable. And while, again, I'm in a public meeting and probably shouldn't say this, but what's true is true. While Monarch was a tremendous asset and contributed to this city in every way, Reyes has been like most, I'm going to say it, idle as far as any city communication or participation or anything that's visible at least. So it doesn't really concern me. I always hate to lose a business like that, but I do think we'll be able to replace it fairly easily. Any other things to come before this group? I think you'll find next month's will probably be back active again, more so, but as you can tell, we have a lot of moving parts going right now.
Great.
And Dan, this is probably more economic development, but Harrison Ford, I see that they're making
real progress.
moves.
I have an update meeting scheduled with them. I think it's next Thursday morning, or maybe it's the week after next. In the next 2 weeks, one of the Thursday mornings, I'm having breakfast with Jim Ford just for that update. But I talked to him on the phone maybe Thursday of last week, and he told me they had all their contractors now to contract. They're moving forward pretty aggressively. They have done a lot of the cleanup work on both sides of the building as far as the sites. Their first phase is the railroad improvements, which he thinks will be, I think he expressed to me, would be commencing in the next 60 days, and then they'll probably be to the full construction mode of all the facility no later than early next year. Probably an even more important thing for you to know about is we believe we have the program in place now, or close to it, with the FHRA to fund the sewer improvements that will cross about where the BP station is, that we need to be able to redevelop the fort to allow the major development we've been working on right across from the BP station. Huge development that we're planning that will have a residential space, commercial space, hopefully a small boutique grocery store, and a Class A restaurant. To do that, we've got to have additional sewer capacity. There's also 2 major developments that have bought and are waiting for me and others to permit on Post Road. that we don't have sewer capacity for. We believe we have that plan funded and ready to go to where we'll be allow those facilities to be permitted and go forward at the end of 23. So we're getting through these problems a little bit at a time.
Flip back to partial J with me for just a second. Starbucks.
I would rather not count on that, comment on that at this point in time. That's an FHRA matter, not our matter, so I don't feel it's appropriate.
Interested.
But right now, I wouldn't be loading up a bunch of money on your Starbucks card for that location.
There's enough.
Anything else to come before this group? I really do appreciate this group more than you can imagine, the support and the way you're paying attention. I've been on had other boards and commissions I've represented that weren't very active, and this is a great group. And I also want to thank MJ for stepping in for Joe today while he's on vacation. I will ask Cheryl, Melissa, nice to see you. Richard, anything you all want to contribute or ask about or comment on?
Good. Thank you. Good meeting.
I'll share a totally non-related matter that you might be interested in because I cover so many bases, have so many contacts. One of my contacts in Illinois yesterday called me to tell me that their energy company, which is the equivalent of Duke here, has already advised all the institutions in central Illinois that they have to take at least half their chillers offline by the first of the week, or if they don't, Ameren's was the energy company, or if they don't, they're going to take them off for them.
Yeah.
That we've let all these power plants go to the point now that when we start looking at weather, it's going to be 95, 96, 97 degrees. There's no way the power grid can keep up with it. So I think we're getting ready to have a whole nother set of interesting times and challenges.
Let us not repeat what's happened in Texas.
Thank you all very much. Back to you, President.
All right. Does any other commissioners have?
Nope.
All right. My last thing is, I was nervous about it, but Dan, the old Incrediplex, it's that lumber factory now, and it looks fine. I have to drive by it all the time to get home. It looks okay. There's a fence around it.
Are you seeing much traffic come in and out of it?
No.
Yeah, I didn't think you would.
Are you, Ray? Yeah, and I was worried I'd see semi-trailer trucks all the time. I don't see them.
I drive it every day.
So I was told, Dave, tell them what you shared with me about, I think it was you that shared with me about the 4399 Shaylin 4423 7100 Ferris project, the comment that was made.
At the most recent council meeting, Lawrence Common Council, there were two citizens who approached this very podium and expressed deep concern about the development of the property on Ferris Avenue. So apparently there was some either misinformation or rumors or something that motivated the folks to come and address the Lawrence Common Council about the redevelopment of that.
So as you know, I've been working to redevelop that parcel for 3 years. We paid the wetland study. We've done things. So right now I have two proposals in front of me, renderings, to my knowledge, that I haven't shared with anyone at all. And yet what we deal with in this world is speculation from somebody that we're going to do something to harm them. And so they stood up and they said they wanted to express their opposition when we haven't even provided anything to anyone. So it's just...
Ask you opposition to what?
Yeah. So they didn't know what the opposition to was, other than they heard we were going to develop it and they wanted to express their opposition.
Which is absolutely their right to do, and the council respectfully heard their concerns. I just felt it was somewhat interesting.
Was there any discussion about Franklin Road?
As far as the...
I'll tell you, let me just share the question I got. When are they going to clean up Franklin Road, quote unquote?
I just talked to Superintendent Scott Salisbury about that today. I know there's a lot of barrels and there's not a lot of activity. Scott told me that the crews are working on projects all over the city, and they will get to that as soon as they can. It's a phased approach, so they have to do step 1 before they get to step 2, and then step 3 and so forth. And they have those very same steps going on in other projects in our city, in other areas, Richard, for example. So I did get a call today from a counselor who expressed concern from a constituent who reported that there has not been any activity on that stretch of Franklin Road for 30 days.
Which stretch?
Which is concerning.
talking about-
700 block, 48, in front of the old Marsh.
So I drove that today, and those,
And then south of
And
that.
then south, yeah.
Okay.
there was pretty heavy traffic, pretty heavy construction work going on today from the old boring property, which is about where the fire station is, McCoy, right in there, coming from there south to Pendleton. It was pretty heavy trucks, gravel trucks, and that kind of equipment working in there today, but there wasn't anything going to the north.
The part that's torn up still is, I mean, is that the remnants of the
Placing the,
fiber optic basement?
no, that's the remnants of,
MetroNet issue,
that's the remnants of placing the new sewer line, water line,
Oh,
sanitary.
thank you.
sanitary sewer.
Okay. Yeah.
And Superintendent Salisbury did also tell me that they are on schedule for substantial completion by the end of this year. So although there may be a lack of activity, they're still, everything is going according to plan.
Well, my answer to the question was, I don't know.
There you go.
So,
It's a bumpy road for sure, and I understand people's frustration.
thank you very much.
All right, if there's nothing else to come before the commission, do I have a motion to adjourn this meeting?
I'd like to make a motion to adjourn this meeting, Mr. President.
I'll second the motion.
Roll call vote, Cheryl Sullivan,
Everybody?
Yes.
Jerry Clifford,
Yes.
Ray Rohana,
Yes.
David Blunt,
Yes.
Melissa Swindell.
Yes.
Meeting adjourned.